Are you living in the past, in the future, or in the moment? We all have situations where it makes sense to reflect on the past and to plan in the future. But if you're constantly living in the past, you're ruminating over what happened and you can't let it go, or you're having total fear and anxiety about what's coming around the bend in the future, that's not living in the moment. And so many of us are guilty of worrying about the future or ruminating on the past at so many different phases in our lives. It's like, think about being a teenager, for example. You might ruminate over something that happened in school and you can't let it go. Your friend betrayed you, or you're really, really worried about getting into university and being good enough to get into the programs and the schools that you want. This process starts very, very young, and it keeps happening all through adulthood if we're not careful. It's like we make that first graduation in high school, and then we're worried about the next step of university, and then university finishes, and we're worried about the next job. And to a certain extent, you can validate being worried. You can validate planning for the future because you want to make sure you have that job out of school. You want to make sure that you're not living in your parents' basement beyond the time frame that you need to. There's nothing wrong if you need to, but you don't want to be there longer than is your destined time frame to be there, so to speak. And many, many people are taking longer these days because of expenses, because they didn't find the job that they wanted. And this negativity can turn into a pile of excuses, really. There is legitimate challenge and there is legitimate negativity, but if you let it overwhelm you, then you can never move forward. And what we need to do in our lives is live in the present and appreciate where we're at now. This doesn't mean this doesn't mean that you should let someone say, let's live in the moment, let's go to the bar and get hammered and party tonight. That's not the kind of living in the moment I'm talking about. That's a bit of a checkout where you're not really living in the moment, you're trying to escape the moment. And this is not what I mean. You want to embrace where you are today. You want to embrace your to-do list, that you are here in your home where you are now, and that you have priorities that you need to attend to, and that your vacation may not come up for a few more weeks, may not come up for a few more years, depending on where you're at financially. But you have to have faith that you will have those moments to appreciate and enjoy. But you also have to appreciate the moments and enjoy them where you're at in the midst of your responsibilities. If you can find joy in the most mundane tasks, when you're washing the dishes, when you're studying for school, when you're achieving your work and getting something done on behalf of your employer, or when you're building your business and you're working 16 hours a day, there could be periods of life where some people even work double back-to-back jobs, where they're working at night and during the day, or they're studying during the day and they're working a full-time job at night to support themselves. I have been there at certain points in my life. It's very hard to do. And it's like, how can I appreciate the moment when you're living in a situation like that where you have to do both? And I felt that too. And what I did to cope was I listened to music and I did things in my off time that really nurtured me. Even though I had very little off time, I would do things like cook or go and do yoga or listen to a song that really uplifted me. And sometimes just a moment of listening to a song that is really uplifting and elevates your mood can be like a full night's rest. Music is something that people underestimate as a tool that can really lift you up or bring you down. And you want to be careful what you listen to. It doesn't mean you shouldn't allow for any creativity or any negativity in any music you listen to ever again, because music is by its nature creative. It's not always going to be light. But there are some artists and some pieces of music that are just inherently dark. It's inherently about the shock value and getting your attention. And it works very well for their marketing, but it's not so good for your mental health. And it's the same with video games. It's like, oh, I'm gonna play that video game where there's a car crash or there's drama or somebody gets murdered by a gun. And it's like all designed to attract people's attention because that sells the video game. And sorry about the guinea pigs in the background, but The point is, you have to really pay attention to the priorities that nurture you. If you can do that, even in a few small moments, it's gonna energize you to do that much more, even if you're lacking sleep. Even if you're lacking the budget to buy yourself really healthy, nutritious food, which I recommend doing as soon as you have the money to do so. But if you're really broke and you're a student and you're in debt and like all you can afford is craft dinner, then love that craft dinner that you're cooking with your full heart and act as if it's going to nurture your body that thoroughly. I know it's not perfect, but sometimes we have to take what we have in life and turn it into the nurturing experience that we need. And if we have that attitude towards things that are difficult to show up to, our responsibilities, then soon our responsibilities give us joy. And the good news about this day and age is it's easier than ever to start a business that comes from your heart, that comes from your true wisdom. And so you're never totally stuck for employment. Like 70 years ago, if you wanted to follow your heart and start a business, it was much harder without the internet because you had to experiment with getting a brick and mortar store. You had to see if people were interested or not. You had to broadcast on mass media to everybody at the same time through TV or radio, and you might attract some people who are the right fit and others who are not a right fit. And while those methods did work and people did build businesses to some extent back in those days, the opportunity now is that you can do so many things for free to build a business and get started even from nothing, from scratch, or a couple $100s can go a really long way. And then that allows you to build your dream life. And you can build your dream life at night or in the afternoon or early hours of the morning while you work a regular job if you want. Some entrepreneurs will tell you you must quit your day job. It's like golden handcuffs. It's your security that's holding you back. But I say every single person is different. What if you're immigrating and you're trying to get citizenship in the country you live in? Or what if you have elderly parents who are depending on you, or children, or pets? Like, there are so many things that come up in life and there's no one size fits all for everybody. But just know that if you don't have enough money or enough resources to do what you want, there are always opportunities to improve yourself, to achieve more. And the important thing is to live in the moment and be joyful while you're fulfilling those responsibilities. If you can learn how to do that and really, really love the crap out of whatever you're doing, you may not even really need vacations that badly. Although travel to other countries can be really inspiring. I've done it. It's an amazing experience if you can afford it. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Love the crap out of your life the way it is today. Don't wait for the next achievement or the next milestone to be happy. We're also guilty of that. And when you look back on your life, when you're living in the moment, you'll realize just what opportunities you had back in those days that might be very different from today. For example, when I was in my 20s, before I got really settled, there were so many opportunities for me to study, for me to travel and meet different people. And I have lifelong friendships from people who lived in different places who really saw who I was as a person and really appreciated me that maybe I wouldn't have gotten in my hometown. To be honest, I live in my hometown now. There's a lot of culture of partying, which I don't resonate with, and it's okay. I like my hometown and I'm at peace with it. I like being close to my family. But when you travel and you meet different people, you might bump into people who resonate with you even more than the people in your immediate surroundings. So if you haven't found a life partner, if you haven't found a really close group of friends, putting yourself out there and moving around geographically might be the ticket for you to live in the moment and really appreciate your life. Do that when you can. If you can't do that today, then just love the experiences around you as much as you can until you're ready to move on to that next phase. Don't be like painfully waiting for it. Be happy where you are today, and the next phase of your life will naturally manifest.